will be recorded and is recorded now. So we're going to talk about solve rational equations. Okay, remember rational expressions, rational functions, rational equations, right? Under different context. So what does it mean rational expression? Rational expression means the variable, usually x, appears in the denominator, right? So equation, a rational equation is an equation contains rational expressions. So let's see this one. Well, 1 over x plus 1 over 3 equals to the 5 over 6. A simple way to deal with rational equations is to find the least common denominator, all right? Least common denominator. In this case, we see we have 3 denominators, right? We have x, 3, 6. So we want to find the least common denominator. Basically, it's the least common multiple of those 3 things. So what is it? 6x, right? 6x. Once we find out the least common denominator, well, you don't have to use the least common denominator. You could just multiply those 3, right? You could just, right, say 18x. You could just do x times 3 times 6. You could multiply both sides by 18/6, but least common denominator will minimize the calculation, right? So what do we do then? Because we have equation, we can multiply something simultaneously on both sides. So in this way, we get rid of the denominators. So we multiply 6x for every term. We have 3 terms, right? 1 over x is 1 term, 1 over 3 is 1 term, 5 over 6 is 1 term. So we multiply 6x on both sides. That is to say we multiply 6x for every term. 6x times 1 over x. How do we do the multiplication? 6x, the denominator is 1. So we have 6x times 1 divided by x, right? 6x times 1/3, that's 6x divided by 3. 5 over 6 times 6x, that's 5 times 6x divided by 6. Right, x we can put in the numerator or x we can put on the side. Doesn't make any difference. But with this same x, okay, those x are the same. It looks different. So then we simplify. 6x divided by x, that's 6. Right? That's 6 times x over x, but x over x is 1. Then 6x divided by 3, that's 6 divided by 3, which is 2x. 5 times 6, well, 5 times 6 over 6, that's just 5x, right? So this simplified to be 6 plus 2x equals 5x. So that is the beauty, of having least common denominator to solve rational equations. You could solve, other ways as well, but this would be, probably the easiest way to deal with it. Just get rid of the denominators. Then this is easy to, because it's a linear equation now, it's easy to solve for x, so x equals 2. Anyone has any questions? Okay, let's see more examples. Let's see this one. -2 over x. Yeah. All right, so this is an example of if the numbers or the expressions are prime, so we just multiply them. So the least common multiple, it's just multiplication of the 3 things. Let's give an example actually. Actually, let's see the next one. The next one we will see. So we have this, right? We have denominator x plus 3, denominator 4. And each one is a prime expression. X is a prime expression. X plus 3 is prime expression. 4 is not prime, but it only have number 4, right? So what is the LCD of these 3 things? It's just multiplying them because they do not have a common factor. These 3 things, x plus 3, and 4, they have no common factor. So that just becomes the least common denominator, just 4x times x plus 3, right? So what do? We multiply 4x, x plus 3 on both sides. When we do that, we just multiply 4x times x plus 3 with every term. When we multiply with the first term, right, we see x, we see this is x divided by this x, those x divided by x will be 1. So we will have -2, or how do we get 1? Because something divides itself, it's always 1. Right? So this -2, because it's numerator, we can put on the top, or we can put on the side. So the first term becomes -2 times 4 times x plus 3. Well, -2 times 4, that's -8. Right? -8 times x plus 3, that's -8x minus 24. That's first term. Second term, 4x times x plus 3 times 1 over x plus 3. Well, this x plus 3 on the side, we can move to the numerator. So we get x plus 3 divides itself. That becomes 1. So we get only 4x. Then we multiply on this side, right? 4x times x plus 3 times 3 over 4. We actually see 4 divided by 4 becomes 1. Right? This 4 is the numerator, this 4 is the denominator. Or we can switch the position, because in multiplication and division, we can switch the position of the numerators. We also see 4 divided by 4, that's 1. So the right-hand side becomes 3x times x plus 3. Now this plus 4x, 3x times x, that's 3x squared. 3x times 3, that's 9x. Now we combine like terms. Combine like terms, we have -8x plus 4x, that's -4x, then minus 24 equals 3x squared plus 9x. Quadratic equation. Right? You see, miraculously, by multiplying least common denominator, we don't have to deal with the denominator anymore. Right? So for this one becomes a quadratic function. So we just move everything to one side. We can move this to the other side, or we can move this one to this side, because we want to keep the leading term positive. When we do that, we get a 3x squared plus 13x plus 24 equals to 0. Right? We think, okay, can we factor this? If we factor this, we need to play with the factors of 24. Think 3 times one of the factors of 24, then adds up the other one should be 13. No, it's not factorable, right? So this one is not factorable. Use quadratic formula. Negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, right? The number before x squared called a, the number before x called b, the constant term called c. So a is 3, b is 13, c is 24. So when we plug into the quadratic formula, what do we get? We get square root. Under the square root, we get a negative number, because 169 minus 288 will be negative 119. And then we know that's an imaginary number. It's not a real number. But when we talk about functions up to this point, or equations, we don't want to deal with the imaginary number yet. We want to have a real number solution. All right, so what do we see about this one? We see there's no real solution. Real means real number. It could have a complex number as a solution, but it has no real solution, real number solution. Anyone has any questions? Okay, let's see this one. Let's see this example. We have 6 over 3 plus 2 over d equals 4 over 9. So we think, what is the LCD of 3d and 9? That's 9d. So we multiply 9d on both sides. Simplify. So we get 18d plus 18 equals 4d. Subtract 4d on both sides. Then divide by 14 on both sides. Simplify it. So we get d equals to negative 9 over the 7. Right? And then negative 9 over 7 doesn't cause anyone to be 0. Any denominator to be 0. So it's fine. That's a solution. Anyone has any questions? Okay, why don't you try this one? Everybody try this one to see what you get. 3 minutes. Yeah, when you finish, let me know what does y equal to.
Oh, okay, wish me luck.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
You'll do fine. Sorry. Okay, let's see the answer. Yeah, agenda has a 16, negative 16. Negative 16? Yeah, negative 16. Okay, anyone else? It is negative 16, right? You could just plug in. Negative, if y equals to negative 16, so 2 over negative 16, that's negative 1/8. 3/8 minus 1/8, that's 2/8. 2/8, it is 1/4. Great, good job, Ajeda. So we do the same thing, right? The least common denominator is ay. So we multiply ay on both sides. Then we get 3y plus 16 equals 2y. We solve for y. Y is negative 16. All right, let's see this one. So we want to find LCD again. LCD n of n squared, of course, is n squared. We just multiply n squared on both sides. n squared times 1 is n squared times 4 over n, that's 4n. 21 over n squared times n squared, that's just 21. Quadratic equation again, right? Moving 21 to the other side, we have this quadratic equation. And we think, okay, 2 factors of negative 21 adds up to be positive 4. So that has to be 7 and negative 3. So 7 and negative 3. 0 property, we get negative 7 and 3. And we can go back. So n equals to negative 7 or 3. We have to go back to check. Right. 7, 3, you can check both should be fine. So both are solutions. This one is similar, right? All we have to do is figure out LCD, it's Q squared. We will multiply Q squared on both sides. Then we get this quadratic equation. Solve the quadratic equation, we get Q equals to 1 and 6. Check the solution from the original equation. It doesn't cause 0 in the denominator, so both solutions are good. Well, let's see this kind. This is different from before, right? Before we have 2 terms on the left. Now we only have 1 term on the left. So again, we need to figure out LCD. LCD of W and 2W plus 1. Let me see this. 2W plus 1 and W. Just multiply those two, right? Because each one is a prime expression. Then when we do this, again, we get a linear expression. We solve, we get W equals to 3 over 2. You know, we check 3 over 2 into the, we plug in 3 over 2 into W, and we check to see if the left hand equals the right. It's supposed to equal the right. It is. Okay, let's see this example. So what is the LCD of this? So y squared minus 81, that's the difference of 2 squares, is exactly y minus 9, y plus 9. So the LCD is just y squared minus 81, which is y plus 9, y minus 9. Right? And so this one, y squared minus 81, can be written as y plus 9, y minus 9. Now we multiply the LCD on both sides for every term. And we see the first one becomes 5 times y plus 9, because y minus 9 cancels its y minus 9. Then the second term will have 1 times x minus 9, because x plus 9 over x plus 9 becomes 1. And then the other side, this cancels the denominator, so it just becomes 18 times 1. Again, linear expression, so y equals negative 3. Any questions? Okay, again, usually when we get a solution for rational expressions, you know, we substitute back into the equation to see if it costs 0 in the denominator. In this case, it doesn't. Similar question, right? LCD is just x squared minus 4 or x plus 2, x times x minus 2. So multiply every term with that. First term, we get x plus 2. Second term, we get x minus 2, right? Because we have this multiply by both of them. But we do one by one. And the left-hand side, the right-hand side just left with a 4. So simplify it, we get x equals to 2. Plug back into the equation, oh, we have a problem. Why? Because x equals to 2, you will plug in the first expression. We would have 2 minus 2, 0. Indeed, it costs 0 in the denominator. And also costs 0 for this one. Because 0 in the denominator, right? Because 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 4 is 0, so no good. So x equals 2 is a fake solution. It's not a real solution. Well, this one will have 12c in the denominator, 36, 4c in the denominator. Again, we want to figure out the LCD. And in this case, it's 36c. We multiply 36c on both sides. That simplifies it to be a quadratic equation. Right? Then we check to see if it's factorable. Oh, we have plus 9 minus 9, that becomes 0. So we factor out c to get two solutions, c equals 0 and negative 3. But the 0 will cause a problem, right? 0 will cause this denominator to be 0, this denominator to be 0. Right? So c equals 0 is not a solution. If we check negative 3, that's fine, right? 3, no problem. So negative 3 is a solution. Anyone has any questions? Okay, let's see this one. Denominator is m plus 5, m squared minus 25, and plus 6. Denominator of 6 is just 1, right? So LCD, again, is the difference of two squares, m squared minus 25, which is m minus 5 and plus 5. We multiply both sides for x minus 5, x plus 5. Then we see that becomes, so m plus 5 divided by m plus 5, that becomes 1. So I'm left with m times m is minus 5. Then here, m minus 5 times m plus 5, that's exactly m squared minus 25. So those two cancel, we get 50. The 6 is 6 of x minus 5 times 6 m plus 5. Right? Then divided by x squared minus 25. Or basically the 6, just multiply those two, right? And what is those two? These two just m squared minus 25. So we get this 6 times m squared minus 25. So we simplify this, we see this is a quadratic equation, and then we can solve it, right? We simplify, we keep simplifying. So in the end, we'll get m squared plus m minus 20 equals 0. So this can be simplified as positive 5 minus 4. So m have two solutions, same like negative 5 and 4. And we check, okay, if m equals negative 5, you see it causes problem here. Right? Because we cannot do 5 minus 5, which is 0, which causes 0 in the denominator. So we reject. Now we have another one, we have 4, right? Equals negative 5 and positive 4. Well, let's check positive 4. 4 divided by 4 plus 5 is 4 over 9 equals to 50. 50 over 4 squared, which is 16, minus 25, which is not 0 either, right? So it does have a value. It does not cause any denominator to be. So it's good. It does not cause any denominator to be 0. Okay, so this missing 0. So it's good. So here is only one solution. Okay, negative 5 is extraneous solution. So let's see this one. 3r minus 15 in the denominator, 4r plus 20 in the denominator, 12r squared minus 300 in the denominator. So again, we want to figure out the LCD. Right? We see 3 minus 15 can be written as 3 times r minus 5. 4r plus 20 can be written as 4 times r plus 5. And 12r squared minus 300, that's 12r squared minus 25, which is 12 times r plus 5, r minus 5. So LCD of the three things is just the last one's denominator, right? Just 12r squared minus 300, which is 12 times x plus 5 times x minus 5. So that's LCD. Then we just multiply LCD on both sides. Then we simplify. In the end, we get r squared minus 25 equals 0. Right? So difference of two squares, split. Then we get two results. Now let's check 5 for r. If r equals 5, we have 3 times 5 equals 15. 15 minus 15 is 0. So that causes 0 in the denominator, no good. Right? That will cause this one to be 0 in the denominator, no good. So 5 is not good. Well, let's check negative 5. Negative 5, we see no good for 4 times negative 5, negative 20 plus 20 also equals 0. So this one actually has no solution, I guess. Yeah, so this equation has no solution because the two solutions are extraneous solutions, not a real solution. Anyone has any questions? So this one has no solution. Okay. So everyone try this one. Try this one to see what you get. Let's use 3 minutes. Okay, I have some noise at home, so I'm using my headset. Try to find the t, then check to see if the one you get is a real solution. Anyone has it? And this one may take a little time. Okay, so LCD is just this one, right? If we figure out. And then we just multiply LCD on both sides. Then, so we get this, we get negative t squared minus 5t equals 0. So we factor out t, we get t times t plus 5, so we get two solutions, right? 0 and negative 5. So then we'll check 0 to see, okay, if t equals 0, this is fine, and this is fine. Okay, t equals 0 is a solution. What about t equals negative 5? If t equals negative 5, this is no good. T times negative 5, negative 10 plus 10, that causes 0 in the denominator. Okay, so for solving rational expressions, because we multiply LCD on both sides, sometimes they introduce extraneous solutions. So that's why we need to go back to check the solutions. So there's only one solution. So t equals 0 is a solution. Anyone has any questions? All right, now let's see how do we use in life. So let's see this question. So one gardener can mow a golf course in 4 hours, while another gardener can mow the same golf course in 6 hours. So this is like a work done. How the denominator cancelled? Okay, someone want me to see how the denominator cancelled. How the denominator went out? It's same as before, right? So we multiply this LCD on both sides. You see here, 6t minus 12 cancels 6t minus 12. So we get a 1 times 2t plus 10 for the first one. The second one, 2t plus 10 cancels the 2t plus 10. So we get a negative 5 times 6t minus 12. And then this denominator is just the LCD. So they just canceled. So we left just the numerator. The numerator is t squared minus 23t plus 70. Then we just combine like terms. Does that make sense? Okay, it's the same way. Okay, so this method is only one way. So we use LCD to cancel out the denominators. So this is a work done question. All right. So one gardener use 4 hours to finish the work, another use 6 hours to finish. So how long would it take if they work together? And so one trick is that we always think the work done as one, all right? Because it will cancel out in the end anyway. So we just think, okay, work done as one. And the work done equals the time multiplied by speed. So t represents the time, s represents the speed. So this equation will give us, if we divide by t on both sides, so we get the speed equals to 1 over t. So in our case, so what is the speed of the first gardener? Is 1 over 4. The speed for the second gardener is 1 over 6. So we just add up those two speed, right? If they work together, we just add up those two speed. It becomes the speed when they work together. And then let's call the time because the question asking how long would it take? Let's say it would take X hours, all right? Let's call it would take T hours because I already used T representing time, right? So 1 over t. So 1 over t is the speed, right? Speed they're working together equals 1 over 6 plus 1 over 4. So we figure out what's the LCD of t, 4, and 6. This is 12t. Right, so 12t. So we multiply 12t on both sides. Then we get 12 equals to 3t plus 2t. Right? That is 5t equals to 12. So t equals to 12 divided by 5, which is 2 hours and 24 minutes. Right? So it would take 2 hours, 24 minutes for them to work together to finish the job. Does this make sense? Anyone has any questions? Okay. All right. No questions. Let's keep going. Let's see this example. Alice can paint the room in 6 hours. Very similar to the first one, right? And Christina helps her. If Christina helps her, it takes them 4 hours to finish together. Right? So how long will it take Christina to finish by herself? We're going to use the same idea, right? That means Alice's speed is 1 over 6, and together is 1 over 4. And we just don't know Christina's. Well, let's call Christina's 1 over t. Okay. So we see we have a rational expression, a rational equation to solve. And the least denominator is 12t. Change everything to be t. We multiply 12t on both sides. Then we get 3t equals to 2t plus 12. 3t minus 2t, that's just t, so 12. So it would take Christina 12 hours to finish by herself. Okay. So this is a together, right? The speed when they work together. This is the speed of Alice. This is the speed of Christina. Anyone has any question? Let's see number 4. So what is 12t again? 12t is the least common denominator, right? 4, 6t. So you see, denominator of this one is 4, denominator of this one is 6, denominator of this one is t. So what's the least common denominator of 4, 6t? That's 12t, right? So multiply 12t on both sides. Why 2? Why 2? What do you mean 2? I don't have 2. Oh, you mean why not 2? No, it's not common factor. I think you're confused with the common factor. Least common denominator or least common multiple. What is the least common multiple? Multiple for, let's do this, 2 and 4. This is an example. Least common multiple is 4, right? We are talking about the greatest common factor. That's 2. Common factor is different from multiple, right? So least common multiple means this number has to divide each one evenly. Let's see if this is a 5. It's a 5. Let's say 6. So the least common factor, let's do 6. So 6 is still 2, right? But then 6 has 3 in it. So this should be 12, isn't it? No, 2. So least common factor, greatest common factor is 2 times 3, 6. Because 6 is a multiple of 2 in this case. Let's do another one. Let's do let's do another one. Let's do 4 comma 6. 4 comma 6. Well, still 2, right? The greatest common factor is still 2 for 4 and 6. But what is the least common multiple? Which is the least number, the smallest number can divide 4, can divide 6. Has to be 12. Does this make sense? Okay. All right. So those are two different concepts. Let's see this example. So it takes Linda 2.5 hours to wash her mother's car. And if her mother helps, it only takes 1 hour for both of them to wash the car together. So how long does it take Linda's mother to wash the car by herself? Same as 3, right? So Linda's speed is 1 over 2.5. And her mother's speed, we don't know. But working together, it takes 1 hour, which is 1 over 1. So the LCD is 2.5 t. Right? Then we multiply 2.5 t on both sides. And then we get t plus 2.5 equals 2.5 t. Then we try to solve this. So we get 1 hour, 40 minutes. So it takes Linda's mother 1 hour, 40 minutes to wash the car by herself. Okay. Linda's speed, her mother's speed, adding together is the speed when they work together, 1 over 1. Any questions? Okay, let's see 5, last one. Oh, you know what? Maybe you try. Okay, everyone try 5. Okay. 3.5 hours. Let's see. So we set up the same way. Okay. Jinsha, so only use 3 hours, so her speed is 1/3. And her son used 6 hours, so his speed is 1/6. And the build the wall together, we call 1/t. The speed is 1/t, so take them t hours to build together. And figure out the least common denominator, so that's 6t. So we multiply 6t on both sides, get 2t plus 1t equals 6, that's 3t equals 6, so t equals 2. You get 2 hours? Oh, 3.5 hours. Jetta, do you mind? What did you do? So 3, 6, and t, right? So that's the least common denominator. Then we multiply 6t on both sides. You use 3 as LCD. Oh, it cannot be 3, right? So let's see what is the LCD. LCD has to be able to divide, because we have 3 denominators. We have 3, we have 6, we have t. So the least common denominator has to divide each one evenly. You see 6t divided by 3 becomes 2t. 6t divided by 6 by t. 6t divided by t, that's 6. We're not looking for common factor. We're looking for a multiple. Right. Remember, what does multiple mean? Let's use some number. Let's see multiple. Least common multiple, but because it's in the denominator, so we call LCD, least common denominator. Let's think about 3 and 5. So a number, the smallest number, has to divide each one evenly. So, or to say, you know, both 3 and 5 are factors of the least common multiple. Has to be 15, right? 3 and 5 are factors of 15. Well, let's see LCM of 4 and 6. So we talked about this one before, right? How do we figure out the common factor? So let's write this one more time. So 4 is 2 times 2, and 6 is 2 times 3, right? So that tells us the least common multiple is 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12. Because every factor has to be a factor of the least common multiple. You say we'll have 2, 2, 2, 3. We have to include in 2 2's because this one has 2 2's. Even this one doesn't have. Does it make sense, Ajita? So back here, we see that's 3, 6t. So the least common multiple is 6t. So 6t divided by 3 is 2t. 6t divided by 6, that's t. 6t divided by t, that's 6. All right, I think that, that's all for today. And anyone has any questions? So basically, we solve rational expressions, and we have this example applications, and these applications will be on your second exam. All right. So solve for rational expressions, we want to figure out the least common denominator, the multiply least common denominator on both sides to cancel out the denominators. So don't have to deal with the denominators anymore. Then, but once we have solutions, we have to go back to check to see if the solution is a true solution or extraneous solution. For applications, this is a typical problem, talking about work done, speed and time. All right, I'm going to stop recording.